Hey everyone, it's Nihon Reboot. Today I actually wanted to talk about some pros and cons that I've noticed while living in Osaka, Japan. I've been here for about a year now, and I've noticed a lot of these things constantly repeating. So I thought I would share some of the benefits and, well, not so good parts about being a foreigner here. So I'll start with the pros first. And the first pro is what everyone calls the Gaijin card. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have already heard about that. Now, a Gaijin card is, well, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not a physical item, but basically, it exempts you from so many different things that would normally get you in trouble for. Like, for example, when you compare Japanese and foreigners, something that a Japanese person would get scolded for, they would, if a foreigner does that exact same thing, they would be able to get away with it in most situations. Now, this is because Japan doesn't really have very high expectations for foreigners, because the culture is so radically different. Um, if a Japanese person is born and raised here, and they do something, the Japanese people are gonna get angry if it's, a bad thing. But, with a foreigner, they treat you kind of like a baby, where they're like, oh, well, they don't know any better, so it's life. You just gotta accept it for how it is. And it's really nice and cool, to a degree, because you can get away with a lot of different things. Um, and I've actually used it quite a bit, during my time in, both during my time in Tokyo, which is 2 years ago, and I actually do have a story to tell about that in a little bit, and my time for the year or so that I've spent here in Osaka. Now, the con to this scenario is you and the Gaijin card are one forever. You cannot separate yourself from that. Now, what I mean by that is, yeah, you are able to get away with a lot of different things and whatnot, but if you wanted to be treated like a normal person in society, that's not going to happen. Ever. Yes, you can make friends, which I have done, both Japanese and foreigners, and they treat me like a normal person. Yeah, because they know I'm able to speak Japanese, they know I'm able to communicate. They realize that I'm just a normal person, just like they are, and that's great. So within my own circle, yeah, we're all treated normally. However, the minute you step out that door, the minute you go into any restaurant, any convenience store, any hospital, literally anywhere, any kind of store, or interact with anyone in any situation, they're going to treat you differently. They're going to treat you like a foreigner. You know? And there's some frustrating parts to it. Like, for example, I went over to buy a video game not too long ago at a store called Tsutaya. And I was waiting behind a couple of Japanese people, and then it finally gets to my turn, and the cashier sees that I'm a foreigner, and I'm just like, I'm looking at her. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna give her my item, pay for it. She just kind of stands there and stares at me. She's like, literally that, and I was like, of course, of course. So then, I gave her my item, and I told her, I'm like, look, I'm here to do this. I want to pre-order that. All these different things in Japanese. And she's like, wow, okay. So then I get my stuff and I leave. Now, the reason why this occurs is because a majority of foreigners that come to Japan, often they don't really speak Japanese, or they don't really speak it very well. And a majority of the Japanese people don't speak English at all. Like, I've met a couple. Like, if they're specifically studying for it heavily, like in college or something, they usually can speak it. But most everyone that I've ran into in the wild, they don't speak English. And as a result, they have that preset, image of a language barrier. And it's always going to be there because, as a foreigner, well, you are all linked as one. Like, there's not a variety. You are a foreigner. They're just automatically going to assume you don't speak Japanese. They're going to assume that you don't know anything about the culture. They're going to assume a lot of different things. Now, this doesn't speak for all of them. I mean, everybody's different. They're in Hirakata, a place, there's a soap store. I go there all the time. Just because the cashier lady that works there, she treats me like a normal person, and we have long, fun conversations. It's great practice, and in exchange, I buy items from her. So we have something good going on there. Um, the second part about the Gaijin card that's also bad is you're representing your country. You know, a lot of the Japanese when they interact with you, maybe not so much in Osaka because there's a lot of foreigners here, and Tokyo where there's a lot of foreigners, big cities, but in a more, I went to Shimane a couple months ago, and I went to visit the college, and the headmaster told me I'm one of only two Americans in the entire school, as a student. So what that means is like in areas like Shimane, which is like a countryside, there are significantly less foreigners there, and as a result, most of the Japanese people there they've never really interacted with a foreigner. Now, because of this, you are their image of a foreigner. Whatever you do, they will burn that in their memory if you're a good person or a bad person. And whenever they interact with foreigners in the future, they're going to most likely keep those expectations in their head. Dang, my computer's acting up again. They're going to keep up with those expectations. So, since you are, like, you have that Gaijin card, if you choose to abuse it and do a lot of stupid things with it, you're going to give a bad image for other foreigners whenever they come to that area. Um, it's definitely, like, a Gaijin card is definitely good to have, has its pros, but you don't want to, exploit it, if that makes sense. The second pro is being a foreigner. Actually, I don't know how this applies to females, um, foreign women coming to Japan, but foreign guys coming here, they are kind of popular with the girls. And that's completely not why I came here. But, anyways, so a lot of girls in Japan, they generally do have somewhat, for the younger generation mainly, they generally have a slight interest in dating foreigners. Not to the extent of a lot of y'all have seen my Gaijin Hunter video, and if you haven't, I'm going to put a link in the description. But a lot of them have slight curiosity. They want to know, like, what is it like to date a foreigner? What's different between like a Japanese person and a foreign person? And because of that, they're curious, and they're more likely to go out on dates with you and do a variety of things. Damn, that did not sound good at all. But anyways, they're more open-minded, and they're more willing to look past a few of your downsides out of curiosity alone. Now, that has both pros and cons. The pros being, well, for the guy, it's easier to get a girlfriend as a foreigner in Japan than say America. At least from my experiences. You know, the con is just like the Gaijin Hunter that I mentioned earlier. Well, she made it clear that she only wanted me for, making a baby. That was literally it. Now, as for a Japanese woman, you might be able to tell, you might not be able to tell, but they might want to only date you just because you are foreign. They might only want to date you for those specific reasons, or they might genuinely like you and want to be with you. Now, another one is making friends. Now, this goes for the exact same reason that I mentioned about the girls being attracted to the foreigners. The friends it's the exact same thing. They're curious. They want to know what it's like to be friends with a foreigner. Like, how is it different? Things like that. And as a result, you're going to get, I say as a result a lot though. Anyways, because of this, you're going to have a lot of people approaching you. And it's, especially on college campuses, like, it's friggin' ridiculous. Like, on the first day of school, where I was minding my own business, I just sat down, and then a bunch of people, primarily females, which I was kind of happy about, but primarily girls were just approaching me, and they just wanted to start talking to me, like speaking English, practicing whatnot, exchanging language, exchanging phone numbers, etc., etc. And this was happening at a very, very rapid pace, especially on the campus. And then within the first week, I've received over 100 phone numbers from both guys and girls. They just want to hang out, do different things, and I was extremely busy because of that. Now, there's a con to that as well, which is, are they just looking to get English practice? Do they generally want to hang out? Well, it turns out, out of all those 100 or so people, I only talked to like one or two now. Because, again, they only wanted me for English practice. And, yeah, they only wanted me for English practice. And it was actually pretty obvious because whenever you first started talking to them, when the first 30 seconds, 99% of them, they said, please teach me English. And, at first I was like, yeah, sure, definitely, I'm going to get Japanese practice with you, so we'll teach English with, I'll help you practice English as well, Good old language exchange, fair deal, whatever. But then as I kept going to the people, almost every single one of them kept saying the exact same thing. It started to become a problem because I'm like, okay, this is a trend here. So like I said, a majority of them, they only wanted me for either practice or they only wanted to hang out with me because I'm a foreigner. And once that hype wore off, they kind of just disintegrated. They just left and went to back to their Japanese friends, or they actually found other foreign friends. It just didn't really work out very well. But the friends that I did make during my time here that actually stayed, we've actually had a lot of fun and made a lot of great memories in which I'm grateful for. Now, I've kind of ran out of pros to living in here, but I do have a couple of cons left, which is I've actually discovered this a couple of times, both in my time in Tokyo and in my time in Osaka, which is certain restaurants, buildings, they'll ban you from entering because you're a foreigner. They don't want you in their store. This is especially prominent if you have a tattoo. Tattoos have an extremely bad image here. And certain apartment complexes, they won't let you lease because you're a foreigner. Now, a lot of people are going to think, wow, that's kind of racist, Just because they're a foreigner, they can't enter these places, they can't live here. At first I kind of thought that as well. But as time passed, I actually realized how few Japanese people actually do speak English, especially the older population. And I got to some realization. Yeah, some of them probably are racist, but a lot of them, they're just their staff and the managers, whoever they are, they don't really speak English very well. And whenever a foreigner enters their store and they cannot communicate, it creates problems, and it puts pressure on the staff and just creates a very, not a hostile work environment, but a more frustrated one. So a lot of them, rather than choosing to deal with those kind of situations, they just ban foreigners altogether, and it makes the workload significantly easier on them. And I can understand that because I used to work in retail in America, and so often, like I'm Puerto Rican, and I don't speak Spanish at all. Born and raised in Florida. Didn't really get much Spanish exposure. But anyways, I work in retail, and there would be almost every shift, there would be a Spanish person. He would come up to me, and he doesn't know English, or she doesn't know English, and they would speak to me, trying to get their stuff done. They're trying to get their items done. They have questions about certain products, and I would just look at them like a deer in the headlights. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't understand you. And I would always sit there like, what do I do? What do I do? This is extremely frustrating for me. As an employee here, I'm like, why are you in my country if you can't speak English? Is what I was thinking. But then, like they can't really speak almost literally 0 words, and I would get frustrated because literally, because I'm, Spanish looking, almost every shift they would come up to me and this exact same thing would happen, and I wouldn't know what to do. I would, if I see them coming through the doors, I would hide, and then, the management staff would always point them to me, and I'm like, crud, why are you doing this to me? So, looking at it from that perspective, I can see the reason why they would just ban out foreigners from a lot of these places, especially apartments. There's a lot of money involved with, key deposits, paying rent, paying bills, negotiations, contracts, all these different things. If the person cannot communicate in Japanese, and the landlord cannot communicate in English, or the restaurant holders, or whoever they are, they cannot communicate in English, it creates extreme friction, extreme frustration. So the decision to ban it, I definitely understand. And I actually kind of support that to a degree, just because I know where they're coming from in these specific scenarios. Now, what I don't like is even if you can communicate, they usually won't want to take a chance with you anyway. Because, like I said, it's not very often for a person, a foreigner, to be able to come to Japan and speak at a native level. I can't even do that. I can speak enough to, my girlfriend doesn't speak any English. We get along just fine. I can communicate a variety of topics, yes. But certain complex subjects, I fall apart at. Badly. I'm only around N2 level. So, and even that's not a good scale to measure to begin with. But there's still so many different things I don't know within the language, and I'm still learning. So, I know I'm not the only one in this position. I know that there are a lot of foreigners who are also good at Japanese, but not near native level. And I know there are going to be certain scenarios where they fumble at, just like me. And I'm pretty sure these landlords are aware of that. Or I could just be giving them too much credit. I don't know. But they won't want to take the chance even if you can speak at a decent level. Just because there may be things lost in translation. And it's just not worth the headache. But anyways, that would be the conclusion to this video, because my camera's going to stop running in about 30 seconds. So, let me know what you think about these these pros and cons. Let me know if you have any other pros and cons, any other questions you want to ask. I might do a follow-up video if you have any questions about these topics or any other potential topics that you might see as pros and cons. Just let me know. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to get 100 subscribers so I can get a custom URL. So I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. Take it easy.